Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I can't come to your school today, but I'm doing the next best thing, recording a talk for you, and hopefully you will enjoy this story from the life of Jesus. Jesus was walking down the road one day in the town of Capernaum. He lived there for a time, and he spent a lot of time in Capernaum. And as he walked down the road in Capernaum, he saw a lady coming towards him. She looked a little bit like this. And I can imagine her struggling almost like this. Oh. It was really difficult for her as she walked down the road. I've got some words to describe her. And some of you may be able to put up your hands when I give you a clue. And your teacher may be able to see if you've got the right answer. If you look at her hair, which you can probably just about see there, it's literally the same color as mine. So I'm quite sure you can get the first word fairly easily. She's old. We don't know how old she is, but she's certainly old. And as I walked or did that demonstration of how she was walking and the pain she was in, I think we can very soon get the next word. She's ill. In fact, she's been ill for 12 years. 12 long years, longer than most of you have been alive. She's been ill. And what happened was this. Every time she felt worse, she would go to the doctor. And when she went to the doctor, he would give her some tablets or medicine or something. And then he would say, that cost you so much. And she had to pay. We know that when we go to the doctors or the hospital, we don't have to pay anything. But she did. And slowly all her money was spent at the doctors until eventually she had no money at all. And if you've got no money, I guess somebody will put their hand up and tell me the answer. If I was there, she's poor. She hasn't got anything at all. In fact, the Bible says concerning this lady, she had spent all her money at the doctors, and rather than get better, she got worse. Well, if you're old and ill and poor, there's only one way to describe you. If we saw that lady's face, I'm quite sure there wouldn't be a smile there. She would be feeling very, very sad indeed. And I'm sad for her because it would be nice to think that as she was staggering down the road, somebody was helping her, maybe a friend, or maybe somebody from her family. But as far as we know, there was nobody with her at all. And if you haven't got any family, and if you haven't got any friends, you must be feeling very, very lonely indeed. And she certainly did. But I think to myself, as I see that lady, there's one other word that we need to use to describe her. She'd heard a lot about Jesus. Maybe she lived in Capernaum and she'd heard about some of the wonderful things that Jesus had done, those miracles that we often talk about. And she thought, Jesus has done some wonderful things. He's done some miracles. Maybe he could help me. But there was a problem. She couldn't go up to see Jesus and speak to him. Maybe if you were asked to go and speak to somebody in the school that you don't know very well, and give them a message, you might say, well, I don't know what to say. I might forget what I'm supposed to be saying. Maybe they'll be busy and they won't want to listen to me. And I'm not very good at speaking to people that I don't know very well. Maybe she was feeling a little bit shy. And so she wasn't able to just go up to Jesus and say, Jesus, please make me better. So what was she going to do? Well, as she thought about it, she thought, well, the doctor can't help me. Nobody else can help me. But maybe Jesus can. In her mind, her brain was whirling around. And she was having what I'm going to use words beginning with T, a very special thought. And she thought to herself, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to creep up behind Jesus when he can't see me, and I'm just going to put out my finger and I go very close to Jesus, and I'm just going to, you can guess, beginning with T, I'm just going to touch him. And that's exactly what she decided she was going to do. Now we have to explain what Jesus was wearing. it's very likely that Jesus was wearing something a little bit like this. It looks like a really smart scarf, doesn't it? A little bit big for me, but nevertheless, it's a scarf. But it's not really a scarf. We call it a shawl. Now, you would think to yourself, well, maybe my mum or my gran might wear a shawl because sometimes ladies look really smart with a shawl, but it's not something men wear. But men in the Jewish religion do wear something like this quite regularly. They do it when they're going to say their prayers. And when a Jewish man is going to their church, the synagogue, he would always wear a prayer shawl. And if you go to Jerusalem, you'll see many men going to the synagogue to say their prayers and wearing a prayer shawl. And we think Jesus was wearing one. Now, the prayer shawl has got some beautiful things about it, but one of the most important things is every corner has got a tassel, a bit like this. There's one there, and you can see there's another one there. Very good, very wonderful tassels, and on the other side as well. And this lady, she thought, I'll just go up to Jesus, I'll touch his prayer shawl just on the tassel. So very quietly, she came behind Jesus where he couldn't see her, and she just touched the hem, the tassel of his prayer shawl. And as soon as she did that, she felt better. She was just about to run home. She was thinking to herself, I'm better. I can run, I can walk, I can do things I couldn't do and haven't done for 12 years. She felt so good, and off she went. But she was just about to leave when Jesus stopped. And he said, somebody touched me. And when she heard that, she got a little bit frightened. And the people with Jesus said, Jesus, there's a crowd of people. Of course somebody might have bumped into you. If you went to the supermarket with your mum or your gran or somebody, and somebody bumped into you, you would say, Mum, somebody bumped into me, somebody trod on my toe, or something like that. And they would say, be careful, watch where you're going. And of course, the people with Jesus said, watch where you're going, Jesus. But Jesus said, no, somebody touched me. And when the lady heard that, I'm sure everyone will get this word, she realized that she was in big trouble. And she didn't know what to do. She could think to herself, well, maybe I'll run away. Maybe I'll hide. But then she thought to herself, no, that's not the right thing to do. She began to be a little bit courageous, and she thought to herself, I've got to speak to Jesus. If you've done something that you shouldn't have done, be it at class, be it at home, wherever it might be, then there's only one thing you can really do if you're doing the right thing. And this is what the Bible said she did. And you know this as well as I do, that if you're in trouble and you've been found out, you have just got to tell the truth. And that's exactly what she did. She told the truth. She went up to Jesus and she said, Jesus, it was me. I touched you. I've been ill for 12 years. Nobody can make me better, but I'm better now. Please, Jesus, don't be angry. Don't shout at me. And of course, Jesus didn't. He looked at her and he was so pleased what she had done. And he said, I'm pleased you touched me. I'm pleased you told the truth. I'm even more pleased that you were prepared to think that I could make you better. And I'm so pleased that you literally trusted in me. I'm so pleased that you trusted in me. So he looked at her and he said, don't be frightened anymore. Off you go. Go home in peace. And that's exactly what happened. She went home in peace. Well, if you look at these words we've got on the board, some of them don't mean anything now. They're wrong. They're not really telling the end of the story, are they? So somebody's going to tell me which words you could remove. I think the first one would be this. Let's get rid of ill, because I'm pretty sure she's completely better. So that's one thing. The second one perhaps we could remove was looking at her face. She won't be sad anymore, will she? because she's happy. She's better. And I wondered about getting rid of lonely, because now she's got the best friend ever. Jesus is her friend, and she's able to speak to him. He's like a friend to her. And then I thought, well, she's not going to be shy. In fact, in front of all the crowd, she said, Jesus, it was me. That was very bold, wasn't it, for her to do just that? I guess she may have even got a little job. Maybe she was well enough now to do something that she couldn't have done before. We can't remove old, of course, but we can remove all the others because none of them are right. And I guess if we took these off, we might be able to put these back as well, because they're important words for you to remember the story. In her mind, of course, maybe somebody will put their hand up and say she had a very special thought. And she thought to herself, I'll just go up to Jesus and I'll hold out my hand and I will touch him. And then she thought to herself, oh dear, what am I going to do? I am in big trouble. But of course, she decided to do what you should do if you are in trouble. She told the truth. But Jesus was particularly pleased, and this is the hard word, the word that I want you to try and remember. She realized she had to trust the Lord Jesus, and that's exactly what she did. She trusted that he could make her better, and that was good that she did that. Those words can all come off, because I want to finish with 3 ideas for you to think about. The first is this. I think it was very, very important that this lady eventually had the confidence to come and do what she did. She was prepared to trust in herself. And for every one of us, we have to trust ourselves, don't we? If sometimes we think, I can't possibly do that, it's probable that we can if we have a go. Trusting ourselves is something very, very important. But it's also true, isn't it, in school, with all the people who help you, the teachers and those who are helping you in the classroom, and everybody else who looks after you during your day at school, we trust others, don't we? We know that we can be sure that they will help us, they won't let us down, they'll be always there for us. We can trust others. But of course, we're in assembly, and that's when we tell the Bible stories that remind us how important it is to trust in God. And we can do that because we've learned how important it is to trust Jesus for the lady, and we can trust God as well. I'm sure you've listened very well to the story. I hope it won't be too long before I can come back to school and actually see everybody in front of me and bring another story from the life of Jesus to you. Thank you for listening so well.